Long ago, in a quiet coastal village where the waves kissed the shores and fishermen sang songs to the sea, there lived a girl named Amara. She was known as the most beautiful maiden in the village, her laughter as soft as the evening breeze and her presence as radiant as the morning sun. She was so beautiful that people often said the gods must have spent an extra day creating her. Her mother had once been the pride of the village. Many suitors had chased her, but she chose Amara's father, Okoro, a humble fisherman. People whispered that Okoro was the luckiest man alive because even the wealthy chiefs and warriors could not win Ngo's hand. As Amara grew, it became clear that she had inherited her mother's unmatched beauty and grace. Young men competed for her attention, and maidens envied her effortlessly. Many young men dreamed of marrying her, but none had succeeded yet. For Amara's parents were very protective of their only daughter. But beneath her beauty, Amara's heart was tender, spoken, and diligent in her chores. She loved the sea, often walking barefoot along the shore. One evening, Amara returned home after fetching water. She stopped at the rocky edge of the sea to rest. There, she heard a splash. Expecting to see a fish, she leaned forward, only to find herself staring into eyes that did not belong to any fish she had ever known. Shimmering just below the surface was a creature unlike any she had seen. A young girl with flowing hair that danced like seaweed in the current. Her face strikingly similar to Amara's own, except her body, below the waist, was covered in glistening silver-blue scales. Startled, Amara gasped. The mermaid-like girl tilted her head curiously, then with a flick of her tail, disappeared into the deep. Shaken, Amara hurried home. She told her mother what she had seen, but Ebiowei only smiled weakly and said, "Perhaps you were tired, my child. The sea plays tricks on weary eyes." But Amara knew what she saw, and those eyes, the girl's eyes, felt hauntingly familiar, as though they had stared at her before in a dream. In the days that followed, strange things began to happen. One afternoon, while carrying a basket of firewood, Amara stumbled and nearly fell off a steep slope into the ocean. But before she could fall, a soft but firm hand seemed to push her upright. She turned swiftly, but there was no one behind her, only rippling waves. On another occasion, a venomous sea snake slithered dangerously close to her feet. But before it could strike, something splashed in the water nearby, startling the snake and making it retreat. Each time, the fish disappeared without harming her. It was as if the sea itself was watching over her. Amara grew both frightened and curious. Why was the ocean, something so vast and unpredictable, acting like her silent guardian? And why did she keep seeing flashes of that mysterious mermaid girl at night when she closed her eyes? Among the village maidens was one named Ifunanya, who had long despised Amara. Ifunanya envied her beauty, her charm, and the endless admiration she received. Unbeknownst to Amara, Ifunanya had seen her by the river, screaming as the mermaid appeared. Instead of keeping silent, she began to spread rumors. She whispered to others that Amara was not an ordinary girl, that she was in league with sea spirits. "She talks to the ocean," Ifunanya claimed dramatically one morning in the marketplace. "Did you not see how she stares into the waves as if they answer her? Perhaps she is one of them, perhaps not even fully human." The whispers spread quickly, like wind fanning fire. Some villagers laughed it off, while others dismissed it as Ifunanya's jealousy. But others began to avoid Amara, watching her with suspicion. Still, the young men remained drawn to her beauty. Among them was Tonye, a tall, hard-working farmer whose yam barns were the pride of the village. He had courted Amara for months, and she had grown fond of him. When he declared to her parents that he wished to marry her, Ebiowei and Okoro were overjoyed. Finally, Amara thought, her life was taking a normal, happy turn. On the day of the marriage introduction, the village gathered to celebrate. Drummers played, women danced, and elders blessed the union. Amara looked breathtaking, dressed in coral beads and a bright wrapper. Tonye stood proudly by her side. But just as the palm wine was about to be shared, a loud splash erupted from the stream behind the compound, rushing toward the gathering. Out of the waters rose the figure of the mermaid girl, her scales glinting in the sun, her long hair dripping. The villagers screamed and scattered in fear. Tonye, terrified, fled and never returned to Amara again. The celebration was ruined. Whispers turned to accusations. People pointed fingers at Amara, saying, "See, did we not say she is one of them, a bride of the sea?" That night, she wept in her mother's arms. "Why is this happening to me? Why does this fish follow me?" Her mother sighed heavily, as though burdened by a secret. But she said only, "Be strong, my child. All will be revealed in its time." Heartbroken, humiliated, and shunned, Amara fled the village that very night. She sought refuge with her mother's closest friend, Efuru, who lived in the next village. Efuru welcomed her warmly, but when Amara shared all that had happened, the strange protection, the mermaid, the ruined marriage, Efuru frowned deeply. "This sea spirit girl is a danger to you," Efuru said. "If she keeps appearing, you will never have peace. We must end this before it destroys your life completely." Together, they returned to the rocky coast where Amara had first seen the mermaid. The waves were calm, the sky dimming with dusk. Then from the water, the shimmering girl rose again, her eyes wide with innocence. Amara's heart pounded. She clutched a knife Efuru had given her, her hands trembling. "Now!" Efuru urged. "Strike her before she strikes you!" But just as Amara raised the knife, the girl let out a cry, a sound so human, so sorrowful, that Amara froze. The mermaid leapt, startling her. She stumbled, cutting her palm. Her blood dripped into the sea, glowing strangely as it spread. And then, before their eyes, the mermaid began to change. Her tail shimmered, dissolving into legs. Her scales melted into skin. Within moments, there stood not a sea creature, but a girl, barefoot, trembling, and shockingly identical to Amara. Amara's breath caught. It was like staring at her reflection in water. Who are you?" Amara whispered, tears blurring her vision. The girl's lips trembled. "I am your sister." Amara staggered back, her knife falling to the sand. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at the girl standing before her. Her face, her eyes, even the small birthmark above her brow, all mirrored Furu's own. This is not possible," Amara whispered. "How can you look exactly like me?" The girl's lips trembled as tears welled in her eyes. "Because I am your twin." Amara turned sharply to her mother's best friend, Efuru, whose face had grown pale. "Twin? She's lying," Efuru said quickly. "This is a trick of the spirits. Do not believe her." But deep inside, something stirred in Amara's heart. A strange pull, as though a hidden truth had just risen from the depths of her soul. Confused and desperate for answers, Amara ran home to confront her mother. She burst into the hut, her voice trembling. "Mama, tell me the truth. Did I have a twin?" Ebue froze. The calabash she was holding slipped from her hands and shattered on the floor. For a long time, she said nothing. Then, with tears streaming down her cheeks, she sank onto the mat. "My daughter, there is something I have hidden all your life." Her voice quivered. "Yes, you were born with a twin. The day I gave birth, the midwives celebrated your arrival. But then, another cry came. I pushed again, and what came forth was not a baby like you. It was a creature with scales, a serpent-like child. Everyone in the room screamed. They called it a curse, an abomination. I was terrified. To protect you, I carried her into the night and left her by the sea. I thought the waters would claim her." Amara covered her mouth in shock. "Mama, you abandoned her?" Ebue sobbed. "I thought I was saving you. If the villagers had known, they would have cast us all out, or worse. I never imagined she would survive, but survive she did. The sea had taken the abandoned child, cradled her, and raised her among its mysteries." Just then, Mama Efuru appeared at their door, but her face was no longer kind. Her eyes glowed strangely, and her laughter rang sharp. "You fool, Ebioe, did you think your secret would stay hidden forever? All those years ago, you took what was mine. The man I loved, Okoro, chose you instead. Out of envy, I went to a dark priest. I asked him to curse your womb so that your child would be born twisted, inhuman. I thought the curse had failed when you birthed a healthy and whole child. But I was wrong. The curse touched Persista instead, shaping her into something the world would reject." Amara gasped. Efuru continued, "I never knew until you told me about the mermaid haunting you. Then I realized I had birthed the very curse I planted. Her laughter grew louder, more manic. She tore at her clothes, her body convulsing. Within moments, she staggered out, raving like a madwoman, lost to insanity. Amara and her mother were left trembling. The next morning, Amara returned to the shore with her mother. The twin girl was there, sitting at the edge of the waves, hugging her knees like a frightened child. When she saw them, she tensed, as if ready to dive back into the ocean. But Amara ran forward and knelt before her. "Please," she said softly, tears in her eyes. "Don't hide. You are my sister. You've always been watching over me, haven't you? Protecting me from harm?" The girl nodded silently. "Why?" Amara whispered. The twins' eyes glistened. "Because you are all I have. The sea gave me life, but it gave me no family. I longed for you, even from afar. I could not let harm touch you." Amara's heart broke. She reached out and embraced her sister tightly, ignoring the smell of salt water clinging to her skin. "Forgive me for not knowing you, for almost harming you." For the first time, the twin smiled faintly, her face lighting up like the morning sun. Later, as the sisters talked by the water, the mermaid twin revealed something that shook Amara even more. "I was the one who ruined your marriage to Tonye," she confessed. Amara pulled back in shock. "Why? Do you hate me?" "No," the twin said firmly. "I saved you. That man, Tonye, was never who you thought he was. One night, I saw him speaking in secret with our mother's best friend, Efuru. She was the one who sent him. She promised him rewards if he could deceive you, marry you quickly, and bring you nothing but misery." Amara's breath caught. "Efuru, the woman I trusted?" The twin nodded sadly. "Yes, he was her weapon against our mother. His love was never true. It was all part of her vengeance. If I had let that marriage happen, you would have suffered a life of shame and sorrow. I could not allow it." Amara's eyes filled with tears. The truth cut her deeply, but she understood now. Her sister had not come to destroy her life, but to protect it, even at the cost of being hated. She held her twin's hands tightly. "All this time, I thought you were my curse, but you are my blessing." When word spread through the village that the mermaid was not a curse, but Anara's lost twin, the people were astonished. Some were fearful, but most were humbled. They had misjudged her, mocked her, and cast her out, only to learn that she had been a victim of jealousy and fate. Slowly, they came to accept the twin, especially after witnessing her gentle nature and her devotion to Amara. The sisters became inseparable. Whenever the tide was low, they sat together at the shore, laughing, singing, and sharing dreams. The villagers began to tell their story as a tale of wonder, how beauty, jealousy, and hidden truths birthed a legend. From then on, Amara learned never to judge too quickly, and never to let the envy of others cloud her heart. She cherished her sister, knowing the sea had given her a gift no one else could understand. And the village learned too, that the evil one plants in jealousy never dies quietly. It always finds its way back. But love, no matter how hidden, always surfaces in the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with a friend, and most importantly, subscribe so you don't miss the next tale. More African stories filled with mystery, lessons, and wonder are coming your way. Until next time, keep the stories alive.